Hello everybody, welcome on in Fire, and anyone else who may be watching too. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, we learned that our defendant, who is trying to protect his science machine, got absolutely utterly diddled and fiddled, as he put it. His machine is rubbish, and the engineer behind it is a well-known con man. So it was all just an elaborate ruse to try to get the government's funding money for their own nefarious schemes. Of course, our defendant claimed to have taken no intentional part in this and truly wasn't it for the science. But who knows? As of right now, we are currently trying to hunt down the engineer of the machine in question, see just what his role had to play in all of this. And of course, we more or less have, self-confirmation that Cosma has lived, although is seemingly having lost his memory in the process. What a freaking setup. Hopefully we'll finish case 3 today. I hope. We're partway through the investigation phase. And so we're just gonna have to go on and see what ends up happening. Don't have any big announcements other than for this Friday, new stream series. Hope y'all are looking forward to it. And of course, this Saturday, we have the game demo that we're gonna be playing, which should be a very, very fun time. Alright. Well, I don't think there's much else to say on the matter. Just let me do some real quick chat. Alright, perfect. I think we should be pretty much set to continue, so without any further ado, Episode 3, Return of the Great Departed Soul. Investigation Part 2, Naruto's Legal Consultancy. I forgot to remove that. Oops. I always forget. I always forget to remove that. Oh well, not a big deal. So we have to go to... I don't even remember where we're going. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I forgot. You know, I honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain, and certainly not so soon. It's funny, for the past 6 months I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of Judicature back in Japan. Please, Mr. Naruto, I may have been dressed as a man, but it was a very reserved performance. So what your father said in his letter about a Ryutaro takedown is reserved? Well, anyway, I'm back here in this great capital now, and ready to assist you again in any way I can. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. My pleasure, Mr. Naruto. Okay. Prison? That's right, we have this. That was the last thing we missed before. Can't believe they took science back and shot it. I know, right? Reina? Absolutely inconceivable. And of course, welcome on in. Enjoy your bread. I also forgot to turn that off. Oops. Thank you for letting me know. Enjoy your rockin' stone. Deep Rock Galactic always has me forgetting. Always. Alright, there we go. We should be fine now. Hopefully. Hey, Gina, do you want this? How the hell did she... Oh, okay. Wait. I don't think that's meant to be a thing. What? Okay, yeah, no. We undid the previous... That's so weird. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no, it is different. Okay. Oh, well, it's not a big deal. We'd better not to try going up those stairs to the stage area now. If we were to bump into the forensic investigation team, it sounds like it could make trouble. Damn. Alright. You rock your sons every time, as you should, Reina. As you should. Yeah, so she kicked us out after something there. I forget what. That's right, they have like 1,000,000 needles. Let's see, what was it? 500 scalpels every month. Yeah, okay, so they have a lot of scalpels for some reason. Chat, I have no idea. Oh god. We've been everywhere. Would you recognize him? About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Oh no. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? How come? You're just a dirty old smudge on back, that's all. It turns out that this is very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. Don't say. Let's have a whiff then. I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. I mean Toby. Oh, that makes sense. Hi, Toby. His sense of smell is so good, he can track people over the oceans, can he? Professor Hairbrain informs us that the oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. Go, Toby! I think he's picked up a scent. You mean if he follows scent to his oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right, that's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. What? Wait, when did you want to pickpocket? I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop. I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. He deserves better. Right then, Otto, leave it to me. Sorry? We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh, well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson again. Damn, she is throwing him under the bus non-stop. Hey, Toby, that's an oil, have ya? Come on then, boy. See you later. Ciao. I do hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Shums at this point? Oh my god. How long has that been there? That's crazy. That's been just sitting overnight. Well, over multiple nights. Also, welcome on in, Mr. E. Enjoy your bread. We have a thing to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful, you're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tussbell's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. Yes, Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture. Alright, we can finally make progress. 23rd of October, Madame Tussbell's Museum of Waxworks. Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't got used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home, via the confectionery, of course. Tasan really is after something sweet today, isn't she? What's the matter? Look, but do not hold on. Look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. There he is. It looks exactly like Mr. Shulman down to the very last detail. Aha! What is it? Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself. Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee. Oh, yes, hello again. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I must say, I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs. You don't mean... But yes, the mystery is solved already. Wow, that was fast. Wow. Mr. Shulman can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. Well, come on in, Plick Lice. Oh my gosh, with the bulborb stare. Love it. Hopefully you're doing well. So, as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties. Yes. His habitual duty. Alors, do not disturb, huh? Gosh darn it. Good and doing some art. Ooh. Your art always turns out fantastic, so I wish that the best of luck. And of course, happy to hear you're doing good. Hunger satiated by candle wax. Honestly, Shulman has confirmed to eat soap. I think he probably ate, candle wax at some point in his life. I don't think many people would disagree with that notion. Poor Sada-san, she looks very perplexed. Oh, gosh. Hi, Shulms. I really do need to speak with Mr. Shulms, and I am longing to say hello again. But where's he? Thank you, Shulms. I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually. What do you... Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! You have fun time doing the art? Absolutely love to hear it. Look, it's called a Shulms, it's called a Waxwork Shulms. So true, Rube. Welcome on in and thank you for the lurk. And enjoy the bread. Look at those moves. His moves are great. I went into a laughing fit the first time I saw those in the first game. It's so good. His animations are just so perfect. The world famous detective and waxwork, Sherlock Shulms. Oh, Susanoo-san! Susanoo-san! My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment via London. My dear madame, allow me to make amends by offering you tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality. Ooh. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Shulms? Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today, for that matter. Alright, bust out the candle axe. But about to say he's schmoovin', he does freaking schmoove. At least thought a paradise doesn't exist, and if it did, it wouldn't be in London. You know, I'd agree with that. There's plenty of other places, I'm sure, other than whatever is going on in the murky depths of the London Underground. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So, how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do you remember I said it was largely... Well, do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Oh yes, it's a most modern invention allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing. Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event. But I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no? Yes, I think perhaps. The ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. The true motive? But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tussbells at all costs. A hungry young Irish awaits my return to Baker Street, after all. Oh, damn, Sholmes is, not proving himself very useful, to say the least. Although I guess it wasn't that much of his fault. And the telephone. I can't believe telephones are real, chat. I thought they were only a sci-fi thing. But it seems they're all just pure fiction. Give him some time to redeem. I'm waiting for its redemption arc where he pops off and carries the whole story. It's gonna be glorious. I want to see the Sholmes that Iris is always writing about. Poor Iris. Now then, I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork. Anything, no, probably not. Oh. Odie Osman, yes, a fearsome adversary. What? You mean you fought him? I once infiltrated his criminal organization in order to investigate the man and his activities. But he saw through my disguise instantly. I still remember what the man said to me now. What was it? Whoever saw such a tall old lady? Old lady? Indeed! But my special disguise hadn't seen the light of day again since that humiliation. Mrs. Minicle is retired. Mrs. Minicle? I would give my right arm to see that. Oh, him in the photograph. The woman. Okay, haha. Enoch Drebber. We're in the process of trying to track someone down. Oh? Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on, that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Drebber's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Okay, well, we can do that, but you have some explaining to do about Cosima. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Mr. Naruto, stay that piercing glare. What is this about? Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear. Now then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was murder, and you examined Cosima-sama's body. Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today. The victim, Cosima Soki. You're quite sure? He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure. It was Cosima-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead. Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all. Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruto? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I'll now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives, I won't lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you'll find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. Ay, ay, ay. How much worse could this be? This man is throwing too much at us. Stop being cryptic with everything. Trying to hide the Hound of the Baskervilles. Trying to hide Cosma's death. And now all of this. Or rather, trying to cover up Cosma's living. Who knows? Who knows what the heck's happening? Throwing too much and too little, both at once. I can't tell what Sholmes' game plan is. Anyways, Drebber. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber. The face of the engineer we seek. Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed. What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruto. Will you indulge me? He's about to tell us to not look for him, isn't he? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken behind those thick curtains. Oh, yes, the professor exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it for a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand. Welcome on in, Neko, and welcome on in, Artie. Hey, you know the deal with bread not yet made, spoils and all that, but hope the game goes well. Of course. Thanks for stopping on by, Artie. I appreciate it. Things are definitely getting really intense, so my gosh. Do have a good day though. Time zones be gone. Yep. The pain of time zones and daylight savings wearing off, meaning streams now happen an hour later than they normally do. Kind of, if you don't deal with, you know, daylight savings and all that. Pain and misery, indeed. This Herlock Shubs is confusing us. Yeah, I can't figure out what his deal is, even in the first game. Like, he had hints of some great, wiser understanding, but he's also woefully incompetent as a detective a lot of the time, which is probably the joke, but like, I really just can't get a good read on this dude. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor? Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone? I'm gonna assume the waxwork is of Drebber somehow. The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. By the way, Sholmes is definitely pocketing these 5 shillings. He's 1000% doing it. Herlock had some complex motives. Motives that would seem complex. Why would you say that, Mystery? Why would you compare him to the likes of Delta? Pain and suffering. Danganronpa would be like, the murder was at 2 a.m. Like, that pops up in like, are we sure it was 2 a.m.? Hajime, it was daylight savings time after all. And then they spent 30 minutes debating if it was actually 2 a.m. That's just the second part of almost Christmas means it's not Christmas. And honestly, I'd love to see a Danganronpa trial like that because of how stupid it would be, but how critical it'd end up being to the case anyways. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? It's basically chat for. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, although to a slightly lesser degree. Since the main... Actually, no, time did play a pretty important part on that one. Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this is a seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you, that's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. Okay. Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit. Thanks for pocketing it, Sholmes. Through those heavy curtains at last. He's gone back to his waxwork. Oh yes, Mr. Sholmes is renowned as being a master of disguise, you know. Does pretending to be a waxwork count as a disguise? I don't know about that. $5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it? Knew it, I knew it, I knew it, but you know what? Everyone knew it. Sholmes needs the money, I guess. No. Ah, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us using her special skills. Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands or chip-loving inspectors. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think. But bottomless chips. 23rd of October. Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. Oh dear. I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here. Legend has it Hajime still doesn't know what an octagon is. God, they made figuring that point out so obtuse in the actual trial. I hate it so much. But you know what? Thank you for the 10 stream watch streak, Neko. I appreciate it. And yes, very spooky. We got a farther away view earlier in the case, but now we're getting a close-up view. The localization that made so stupid and that's funny to you. Of course, it's the freaking localization. Like, Danganronpa has so many localization problems. Just in quirks with it that I've learned of. It's unfortunate. At least the games are still good. Mrs. Sato, I say we turn on our heels and go straight home via a really big confectionery. Nagita says octagon in English in the JP dub. That is actually really funny. I did not know that, but I guess they kind of missed the point. Gosh, that joke is so good. We certainly can't do that. We've paid 5 shillings already. True. Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. We've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place. This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved. Ay. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we? Yes, we will get what we paid for. That fear or frustration? That's making Sada-san's voice tremble. Oh gosh, that freaking owl over there. What is this? I don't know what the currency of shillings is. You know what, we can look up a conversion rate, surely. Okay, wow. Well, I guess considering inflation, they are worth not much at all. Damn. Can confirm, British shillings are, they're not in good state at all. They're worth like 100 shillings are worth 5 according to, random just search on Google. 5 cents, USD. I'm sure they were a lot more valuable, and I'm sure this exhibit would cost more than 5 cents, but, the economy had not been kind to them over the years, we can say that much. Play underline if you like Danganronpa. Gotta have your shillings there, indeed, Neko. Yeah, rip the British shilling. This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. Seems to be a young man in a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand, too. Look. Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Oh. A camera. What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with the shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night? Mrs. Sato? Yes. That's a spade, isn't it? God damn it. No, it's a shovel. No. Shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel. No. Although, we haven't considered trowels. We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement. So we're going to bury the hatchet? You're right, though. What is the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. Rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season. I feel like that also had a similar resolution of, but what about the travels? Hunter season, I guess, something like that. That's perfect, though. I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruto? I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. Interesting. What on earth? How can... I don't believe it. A black monocle! Mr. Naruto, is it possible that this man is... Yes. It's Enoch Drebber. The color of his hair is different, but... It's unmistakably him. Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes. And the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? Why did the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head today, sweet, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry ire still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ugh. You know, though, something about this room is strange. Strange? What do you mean? Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not? Indeed they are, Mrs. Sato. Do go on. And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't ever really have happened, could it? I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incident involving the professor 10 years ago. Human season. The natural conclusion of Bugs Bunny. Okay, let's look around still a bit more. This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. It needs to be a young man in a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand too, look. Okay, we can actually still look at the rest of his stuff. Nice. That's quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Or is it a lantern? It's not unlike a Japanese chochin paper lantern, is it? Lamp, lantern, chochin. The point is it casts very little light. To be walking alone in graveyard at night with only this. Well, I certainly couldn't do it. I'm not sure I could visit graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. Oh boy. What's this here? Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera. A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Shulm's skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Shulm's inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera? I wonder. Perhaps he's trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. Oh, okay. We're taking the camera. We're doing our own grave robbing. Camera from around the neck of the waxwork of Mr. Drebber and the Madame Tussauds special exhibit. Trying to ghost bust. Damn, okay, maybe Drebber's kinda... Wait. What if he has a telephone and we gotta call him to figure out all the spooky happenings going on with everything. That could be it. Who knows what supernatural events could be lurking, you know. Spirit mediums, those are horrifying. We need to get all of them out. Gotta call the Ghostbusters somehow. See, they're actually just inventing telephones explicitly for the purpose so that they can then call the Ghostbusters in the future. They are very, very determined for this goal for some reason. And yeah, that's why they give the phone. Exactly. Exactly, Plicklight. By looking at photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken. What's the photographic plate? The piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. You should see yourself, Sada-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? Hey. Seems that's it. This must be the killer. The fiend known as the Professor. Yes, I think so, according to what Madame Tussbaugh said. He killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood. The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place. I know, it looks like it could just start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. I'll just examine it in a little more detail. Oh. So this is the condemned man. Yes, the so-called professor. Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost. Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mrs. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see? Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it? That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it? Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned to the museum? That would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? It's gonna be Cosima or something. Something unhinged. Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass, and quite a big piece too. It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing, I'd say. Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder? I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength. But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example. Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And so the glass was broken too. But how would glass from the Crystal Tower get here? You don't mean exactly the Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition. But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxworks jacket? Makes you think, doesn't it? A small fragment of very unusual and thick glass that is found in the folds of the clothing of the Professor Waxwork. It would appear to be from the Crystal Tower. Early in court, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick. Now we discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? Is this person... Is that the same as Osman? Was Osman the professor and they removed the face because they used this waxwork to be the body double? Is that what we're meant to get? Kiryu Kazuma and Jin Kazuma. I mean, I definitely get that. It took me a while to get Kiryu Kazuma out of my head. in the first game whenever I heard Kazuma Soki. Gotta love common names like that in Japanese origin of games. Whether it be Kazuma or Cosmo, which are basically the same thing if you don't take into account kanji. Can't wait to call a literal wax figure to the stand to testify. We've done crazier things. We've called a bird up to the stand to testify. Not in this game series, but in the larger Ace Attorney series. I still can't believe it. Bird up, you know it. Doesn't matter if they're here in Britain or Japan, graveyards are scary. Now I come to think of it, this is the first time I've seen a British grave. According to what I've read, the custom in Britain is to bury the dead as they are without cremation. What? But if you do that, you might accidentally bury people while they're still alive. I'm not sure that would be worse than accidentally incinerating people while they're still alive. That was my first thought. I think we can both agree that's best not to be still alive when our time comes then. And what am I to say to that? The villain be like that bird that I hate. Everyone has that bird that they hate. Whether you're the good guy or the villain. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful. After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? Do you mean that's the professor's identity? As you surmise, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at a Lowgate cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh no. That foul, foul. Oh my gosh, yeah, I agree, Thunder. You just win. The bird that I hate, the avian that I disdain, nothing compares to that foul owl. Very fitting, because there's a very horrifying owl in the background right now. And of course, welcome on in, Thunder. Nice to see you. Very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? Enjoy your bread, Thunder. Thanks for the stretch. And the hydrate. And the lurk. Do enjoy it, Thunder, and have a good stream tonight. He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness, but of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen? Oh god. This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide. Yes, I've never seen anything like it. If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Schultz has such thick skin. There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know. Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely. Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure. My gosh. How is this gonna be game-changing? What a wonderful machine. You really love contraptions like this, don't you? Oh yes, anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible. Almost irresistible, surely. Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart. That's worrying. Yes, father tells me the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch. Poor Professor Rikitoba. Poor everyone. Look, Mr. Natoro. What is it? On the bellows just here, there seem to be some very dark stains. Oh no, blood. Yes, you're right. It looks like blood, actually. Oh my. I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. When the ledge is extended, the dark staining is visible on the bellows. Look, the cover came open. Yes, now, there should be a glass plate inside. You have changed the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see. Something wrong. There is no plate. It has been removed. Ah, what a pity. But I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that's used at the time, just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway. Oh, yes, you're quite right, of course. Poor Sada-san, she looks devastated. Poor everyone. Who isn't getting some amount of sympathy at this point? Young witness. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. Full witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran away to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's. I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. Grave robbing, probably, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night. Yes, what was he up to? Following the execution, the professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No! But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing had been heard of him since. It's rather striking then that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Oh, I'm bleeding. No. What have you gone and done? Dina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris and she said this is where you'd be, so... Don't! Gina, not so loud in the museum. Madame Touchbells will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Don't! Alright. Alright. Gina, we understand, but please put down the gun. Boy, I got scared. You try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? Well, bring me here. What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy cove's workshop. What? You found Drebber's workshop? Dobby took me straight there. Boss and the others are heading over now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there. Thank you, Gina. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place in the exhibit over there. What's gotten into him? Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say. But if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense. And Iris's dinner plate would... Forget that, I'll pay for everything. And Sholmes is gonna be like, why, thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. I knew I could count on you. Then there's not a moment to leave, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. I'll offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then. I shall gladly pay you half, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. Right, let's go. Alright. 23rd of October. Enoch Drebber's workshop. That looks like... It's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed, it would appear so. The only prototype, naturally. So you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time. You've really worked miracles. It's Dolby, who's the miracle worker. I thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. It looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find Soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're helping Snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Well, Van Zeeks and Forensics Investigation Team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Van Zeeks is a lawyer too, but here we are, I guess. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down. Must we have the chance? And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. Thank you, Gregson. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, that machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Science Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside, no working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on floor, not even a bone for Toby, yeah, my dear fella. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mrs. Sato. Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? An impressive-looking back massager, that's for sure. I have no doubt that if you hit your shoulder a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madame. And how about you, Mr. Naruto? Wouldn't you like take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he? It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. Alright, science trophy, Royal Society trophy found for excellence in science that was found in Mr. Drebber's workshop. It's a very prestigious award for a young scientist. Oh wait, it's the same thing from before. Nothing up here to examine? No. Arrows. This is the European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Do you suppose? Crossbow bolts these, and just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words, yep, that more evidence to support your theory. That all goes show that Drebber was the one pulling the string behind the scenes of the whole scam. A crossbow found hidden behind a tree under the experimentation stage at the exhibit grounds. It belonged to Mr. Enoch Drebber. What on earth is this? An aeroplane, Mr. Naruto. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. That's how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry. Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real airplane would actually fly high in the sky. While suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course, because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in the air unsupported. So to you, the solution is ever taller towers? Yeah. Honestly, I think these so-called, like, aeroplanes are just a whole load of gobbledygook. They're not grounded in science whatsoever. Real science will disprove that they could never exist. Right, chat? This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty empty lock on it. There's specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's giving it to you. I love Sholmes' head drooping. Grayson looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. No, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Oh, nothing wrong, Mrs. Sato. Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Everything there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Oh my, someone is in there. Ah, this rotten blade and lock. My dear Gregson, that I said only minutes ago. If only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There, you may enter at will. You confused minutes with seconds, I think. My god. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all see. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Oh no. A bomb? What? What happened in here? Why is everything upside down? Rats, there's no one in here after all. They're in the cupboard. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Deborah running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. There are footsteps. What the hell? What's that up there? Are they footprints on ceiling? Blow me, what have we here then? No one's gonna talk about the bomb. Look like someone trying to burn something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Hairbrain's bombing machine, is it? Buy me, if we'd had these, there'd been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There's something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. Rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Naruto. Must investigate this entire room thoroughly and before the forensic investigation team arrive too. It's been a while, so we're just gonna... That's a really lovely model. It looks just like a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas. Green flying balloon. Does have the hallmarks of that amazing session at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? There's no denying it, is there? They're footprints. Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean. I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruto. That'd make her almost superhuman, I suppose. Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Shom's suite isn't ever in this much of a mess. You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruto. But I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se, it's just that everything's literally upside down. But why? That's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Holmes could open that lock. Although if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. Bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruto. Well then, you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside must be very important. Probably. Is that it? Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruto, yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a... Ah! Sato, what is the matter? That's Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What did you just say? Oh, time bomb. Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruto. Don't take that as a compliment. Ha! You don't know nothing, do you, Oro? Haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruto. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then what is it? I see, so that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair. For I'm fated to never know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mrs. Sato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first, that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room, the work of Dreba himself. Don't tell me that the entire room was upside down until only minutes ago. But how could you? And second conclusion, that the small device on the floor there is without a question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Miss Sholmes. Well done. Thank you for the stretch. And for the hydrate mystery. I have done both. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand there, Mr. Sato. Yes, I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here is gravity. It appears that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the earth. Well, the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly revealed the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mrs. Sato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There is clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. In the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So, you see, we need to look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts here was reversed by Mr. Dreba before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I've witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Conclusion: because gravity was reversed. Of course, topic 2, the missing engineer. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how's it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madame. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Trevor's aim was singular: to escape. However, there's but one way into this room. Excepting the skylight, that is. By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape by the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Well, Mrs. Sato, that is what the rope is for. Using the rope, he could leisurely climb down to the ceiling to then make a hasty escape to the skylight. Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run. To escape to the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Called it. Wait, that means I'm thinking like Sholmes. Oh god, Chad, I think this is a bad thing. The rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Conclusion: escaped via the skylight. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. It's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say that with a man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. But my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sada lent me once. Objection! Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. The spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you had described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Topic 1. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that... Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly revealed the truth about the part gravity played in this business. You think gravity could have been reversed in this very room? I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. If only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself has admitted it was scientifically impossible, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mr. Susato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly. Yes, it does immediately put you in the mind of some strange quirk of gravity, I admit. Could it be that a mini whirlwind passed through here, do you think? I'm not sure that's much more plausible than Mr. Sholmes' explanation. Oh dear, saying the first thing that comes into your head isn't the way forward here, it seems. Look, Mrs. Sato, when everything seems to be upside down in here, the safe is conspicuously the right way up, have you noticed? Yes, that's true. But look more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, that's a lot of very large bolts fixing it to the floor. Think before you speak, that's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I really put my foot in my mouth there. I certainly didn't say that. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Look at that. I know. That slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Come on, makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? Be honest, Mr. Naruhodo. Something else spotted made rather deeper impression on me. It's the fact that it's actually upright. Is there anything else? Doesn't seem like it. Do you think that pot might be made out of metal? Just a little. You know, I'm surprised we didn't hear more metal pipes drop when gravity was reverted to normal. Take that! The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part the gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one's trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming, slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all! My deepest sympathies for your loss. So, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Nope, I don't follow laws of physics, so it makes sense. Agreed, especially since I just conjure metal pipes up and other pipes when I need them without actually following the rules of matter conservation. But you know, that's all beside the point. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unresolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite! And naturally, there's an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's... God damn it. I wasn't expecting him to double down on it again. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Safe. Ah, looking for safe code. Let Sean follow his dreams. I'm sorry for ruining it all. He deserves better. Although I'm sure Iris kills plenty of his dreams already. We've already established that gravity wasn't actually a person here, haven't we? In other words, this isn't an anti-gravity device at all. Makes me very curious to know what sort of device it is. But I think for now it's clear that we're looking for an answer elsewhere. That's a coal-burning heater, I think, isn't it? Yes, it is, but not just for heating, you know. You can grill on it, bake in it, boil and steam things with it. It serves all sorts of purposes. That seems like having your cake and eating it too. Not unlike heated kotatsu table with a nabe hot pot, a mikan orange. That's... For reference, chat, mikan is the word for orange, so I'm pretty sure they're saying an orange. A cat and an elderly relative. Oh, you mean it seems too much? I suppose perhaps it does. But you do realize only some of the things on your list are edible, don't you? I wonder what that device is. This is absolute... If I were to interact with this again, I think we'd get a pipe bomb. Oh my god. I like how it was mentioned that it's time bomb and then it's been diverted. Oh, it's actually anti-gravity, but now that we've proved it wasn't anti-gravity, now everyone's dodging the elephant in the room of that being a time bomb. I thought that was gonna scare us off, but evidently it's not active. And yes, oranges are orange. You know what? Let's see. Will Miku show up at a convenient time? Let's see. Weedbot. Important question. Is this over here a very particular device? Okay, that's Weedbot's answer. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair. Oh yes, safe 432582. And yet oranges are orange. Absolute peak descriptions on the part of the localizers. Safe as in safe and secure? As in secure lockable box, I think. Eminently more likely. Well, there's a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So you mean this number would let us open it? What's written here, though? Maybe the bomb stopped working just due to Sholmes' imposing aura. Maybe, yeah, I guess we'll have to see once Sholmes is gone. He could be stopping the bomb from going off just with his very presence, which is rad. And another reason to love Sholmes, as we do in this household. Anyways, take that! Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruto, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it, for people have forgetful souls at heart, and they would make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what pray happened next, Mr. Naruto? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had turned my room upside down to find it. That's it! For people have forgetful souls at heart, and we always forget where they've noted things down. Welcome on in, Reaper. Enjoy your bread. Grinding for Forsaken. What is your goal? Considering you have everyone at max level, don't you? Or most. Well, except for the new... I guess you're probably doing those. Regardless, hopefully you're doing well. You'll need to get going early today. Hope I continue enjoying this case and Sholmes. Of course, Rube, of course. Thanks for stopping on by. I'll handle pipe duty, of course. And, have a good rest of your day. Alright. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the gift sub, Rube. And of course, Wheatbot appreciates it too. Have a very, very good night. And I wish you many Sholmes for the rest of the day. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn my room upside... Thank you, Mr. Naruto, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one. Leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe, and it's gonna be empty. Conclusion: to find the safe combination. Topic 2, missing engineer. Leveling up new survivor and trying to get new Minecraft story mode skin. That is awesome that they added Minecraft story mode skin to it. I wish you the luck on both grinds, Reaper. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madame. The reason there are footprints on ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Life was so much simpler in those Halcyon days. Halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and by those Halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Ah. Huh? Looks like these are the only windows in the room. In other words, if you wanted to escape without using the door, these skylights would be the only way. Yes, that's true, but even so. And right next to the only escape route, we noticed some telltale footprints. Nevertheless, as we've said many times now, gravity can't explain how they got there. But powerful springs in the soles of the man's shoes could. Have you been having strange dreams as well, like Mr. Sholmes? It's a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. Green gas balloon. Why did that seem to ring a bell with me? You can see there are footprints on this look. Oh yeah, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look. Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Take that!
Alright. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. It was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruto and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Goss claims that he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, if we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach, hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by sailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there's some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. The rope! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes made us bring the deduction back to the rope. Okay, this is really smooth on his part, goddamn. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon, then pull it down to us on the ground. Which is much easier said than done, I feel. Then could take a very long time as well. True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? The crossbow.
Take that!
Take that! To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood it belonged to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Is it gonna be the head of the exhibit? It was, oh my god. What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is! A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment, this is the head of a waxwork model. Does that mean... Oh goodness! I see you've joined the dots, Mrs. Sato. Excellent. Of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tussbaud's model that you largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was, but I believe Madame Tussbaud will now have settled her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes, but why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tussbaud's and returning it non-Teton earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. The waxwork head, the head of the Professor Waxwork that was stolen from the Madame Tussbaud special exhibit. Nothing to say here. This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone, even a convicted criminal. I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually. Naruto, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an inch on your cheek all of a sudden, you'd be utterly helpless. Well, yes, that's true, but I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right. Sorry. Well, it appears our logical cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction, Enoch Drebber is right here somewhere in this room? In the safe? So, Mr. Naruto, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the large safe. Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here, which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe, and pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Conclusion: inside the safe. Deduction elementary. So, Mr. Naruto, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, 8, 2. I knew that. Alright then, here goes. Hi. You found me. Whoop. What a fancy animation, goddamn. Right then, Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. Correct. You better start talking, you trick Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tussbells as well. Boss, I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in the most prominent position. Ha ha ha. I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then. No. Yep, I figured. Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got 1 foot in the grave already. Oh wow, it was actually just going. You trying to help us get a kill? Oh, get us killed. Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to anti-gravity device, an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Ugh, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. My goodness. It's so can't believe that we were nearly blown up. What was that? A sideways glance in aid of Mr. Naruhodo? I thought that deducing meaning from the movement of people's eyes was your specialty, Mr. Sholmes. Never mind that now. Let's see what Mr. Drebber has to say for himself. Oh, that's all that we have to say on this room. It might surprise you to learn that I'm actually a lawyer from the Empire of Japan. I detest lawyers. They wield so-called special powers in an attempt to grind down our freedoms. Yes, let me be quite clear. I detest lawyers very much. Any chance two negatives make a positive? Mr. Drebber, look at this, please. You, have anything to say about it? Are these strange mechanical movements supposed to be some sort of dancer? Alright, doesn't look like he has anything unique to say on any of this. Give me some to work with. You gotta have something funny. At least he has dialogue for showing your lawyer's badge. Okay, he doesn't have anything. What happened here? What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Drebber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling. Ah, that would have been me. For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. I had another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly, the rope was too short. So, then I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. The time bomb. Got a death wish, have ya? Right. Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. So it is. I always had intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. You mean say you're planning to blow us all up? No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. I calculate time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now, but what about the two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor, clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it to safely reveal the killer's identity. Huh. Oh, hold on, chat. My controller died. Oops. I should have charged it. Luckily, no big deal. Alright. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. After all... Oh my god, why are you here? Thank you for the cardboard, Mr. E. What is going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yes, well, Dr. Scythe again. So the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew all this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madame, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Oh? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell, you. Get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Nodhodl! Yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for the day. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out, now, all of you! Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place. And the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There's a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed. Inspector. Gregson the goat? Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Trevor? Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? Well, are you... That, well, you mean... Oh, no. Oh. It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. God damn, wow, okay. What a freaking cliffhanger to hit us with. Alright, well, somehow, despite the fact that I stopped in the middle of the investigation before, this perfectly took us 2 hours. My gosh. And so, without any further ado, we are going to be going on break. So thank you all so much for watching. I'll be gone for 10-15-ish minutes. That's usually how long it is. While in some ads will play, but those are just to get rid of pre-rolls, and you won't be missing any action, so I appreciate the understanding. And when we come back, we'll be continuing on to Trial Part 3 of Episode 3, The Return of the Great Departed Soul. So, without any further ado, I will see y'all again very, very shortly. 24th of October, 9:11 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Good morning to you, Mr. Naruto. Good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings? I hope so. I should be. Even I, with nothing left. Hello, good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally, a true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you later, then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will. I realize it was a mistake, but my dearest fellows, I must interject. Oh, they're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction, Sorry? I don't follow. Must I spell it out? I, the great Herlock Sholmes, the great detective of worldwide acclamation, arose some ungodly hour to be here now, first thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Well, if I must agree, then, as you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Iris had to employ her full gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me, and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend on my face, and at last I was bestirred. Oh my, Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice. I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry, Cutton. Oh, I did not realize it was Gregson. That got in. No, Inspector Gregson, good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow, why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grim expression, eh? Dear me. Are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? What? I don't know! Poor Professor. Anyway, here's paperwork you asked for. What paperwork? I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling it may prove useful. Now, you wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. It's the professor's autopsy report. That mass murderers who killed 5 members of the aristocracy? He was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he is quickly executed soon after trial. That's all in here. Killer's autopsy report. The autopsy report of the mass murderer known as the Professor, who was tried and found guilty by closed trial 10 years ago today. Condemned Professor. Blank, blank, blank. Redacted for confidentiality. Synonym the Professor. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th of June. Courtney Stevens. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. Yes, much obliged, Gregson. Slowly locked at the yard, are just doing what we can. In the shadow of the great detective Sholmes, of course. Well then, Professor Harebrain, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be in there today, will he? Drebber. Yes, we expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant, the trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. This is it then. The final chapter. Funny. My heart's racing a little. I have not felt this before, actually. this strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. Oh no. I am scared, chat. But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. "24th of October, 9:30 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the public hearing of Albert Harebrain, here present, who stands accused of murder. Are the court counsels for the prosecution and defense ready to proceed?" There's Cosma. Yeah, Cosma. That's just what we all call him, chat. "The prosecution is ready, my lord." "The defense is ready, my lord." As promised, Lord Von Zeeks has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss. "If I may, Lord Von Zeeks?" "Yes, my lord. There appears to be someone standing at your side." "Ah, yes, my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see the complexity of this case rise considerably." God damn. "I therefore instruct my assistant to attend to ensure the smooth running of the trial." "The smooth running of liquid refreshments by the look of it. The way he holds himself, the way he moves. It couldn't be anyone else." "But he's still suffering from amnesia. It really was a dark descent. So there's really nothing we can do at the moment." "I know, but oh, this is so very hard." "It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands of the court made yesterday. I understand you have successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene on the day in question." "Yes, my lord. I intend to call him as a witness shortly." Very good, very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this courtroom today, are you ready and willing to proceed? Gosh, I about trip up. I've been watching someone's YouTube videos recently, and there's a huge joke about being able and willing. If you know, you know, and I almost said, "Are you able and willing to proceed?" God, the internet brain rot is striking me hard, chat. "Of course, my lord, I'm sure we all understand the importance of doing our civic duty." "I do so despise deception and deceit. I find it so very wearing. To take a man's life with a conjuring trick, it is against the magician's code, not to mention the law. Any fake scientist who should feel the wrath of God, if you ask me." I've listened to what's said on both sides of the fence and then set on one. That's it, isn't it? Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. "All parties are ready to proceed. You may begin, Lord Von Zeeks." "Before I do, my lord, there's a report I must read to the court. Yesterday at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance in this case. The super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed on the experimentation stage, but deliberately destroyed in an explosion affected by an unknown person or persons." It was what? An explosion? This is an outrage. Yes, I heard this grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office in the evening. I read that the machine was blasted smithers and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames. I have here a photographic print of the scene taken in the wake of the explosion. Shows what little remains of the machine. Yes, a terrible business. He did it to destroy the evidence, did he? That Enoch Drebber. The court will take this print as evidence, counsel. A photographic print of the experimentation stage after it was completely leveled by a time bomb. The metal floor of the stage has been blown open by the explosion. So there's an open gap there, to say the least. Something there, but I don't know what. Late yesterday afternoon, the protection for this machine by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the investigation was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw a meaningful conclusion, the authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed, a most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. Victim's death was a result of the actions of the accused. Of that we can be certain. For it was the accused himself who is operating the machine, who ultimately caused this loss of control. As Lord Van Zieks rightfully says, this is a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. He acknowledges that Mr. Aswin died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever fraudsters. Names, counsel, if you please. The engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, and the victim himself, Mr. Odie Osman. So what exactly were these two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defense intends to expose that information, thus establishing the unequivocal innocence of the defendant. Thank you, counsels. The positions of the prosecution and defense have been clearly stated. Lord Van Zieks, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to the stand. State your name and occupation for the court. Name, Enoch Drebber. Occupation. Hard to pin down, I would say. See that black monocle? Yes, why do I feel as though I've seen it somewhere before? Oh, you too? I had exactly the same feeling myself. Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. But that had no bearing on this trial, I assure you. Leave it from your mind. You're familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago? The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. Or so our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it, in precise accordance with the blueprints, but that's all. Then the court will be very interested in hearing your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science, making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last. Of course, they're gonna go with it being real, because if it's real, then if the kinesis machine is real, then it could only have been Harebrained who did it, which is the crux of all this. So, Good gracious, do you mean to say that the experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up. But we've already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick. Objection! You've established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceedings. That same outcome could have been produced by means of stage trickery. The defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more. But... We've procrastinated long enough, I feel, witness. You will now give your formal testimony about the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition. Understood. The kinesis machine. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Osmond's introduction. He provided me with the blueprint and I constructed the machine to his precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads and then crash headfirst into the crystal tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow? A body double? That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that something has moved, when in reality it hasn't. It's a basic conjuring principle. The deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. But would I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines? Ugh. I still think this head is going to be the freaking double somehow, revealing Osmond was always like this dude. Was always the professor who somehow lived. I don't know. I don't know anymore. Incidentally, the prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Osmond had no twin siblings. It is my understanding that this witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness, but such talents do not indicate that he is actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what by all accounts must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. Whatever do you mean? Yesterday's proceeding brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Drebber. Indeed it did, my lord, as a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how. Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic on the field. Investigation of the witnesses' workshop tests that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Science Society trophy for young talent in science there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves. If a hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I may have sold the secrets of some deceptive wells to sniveling talentless scientists in the past. But would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was an unfortunate accident, or, of course, a deliberate act of murder carried out by misuse of the science? Counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Osmond's introduction. So you were already acquainted with Mr. Osmond himself? Not really. By chance, I'd seen his name mentioned in the papers, that's all. But I had no interest in his private affairs. If he was an unscrupulous investor, it was no concern of mine. As long as people pay their bills, I take up my tools and construct what they ask for. So why did Mr. Osmond approach you in particular then? Who can say? I presume because my name is associated with excellence in engineering. Not to mention excellence in fraud. Hard to gauge, but the point is, all I did was construct the machine according to the blueprints I was given. In other words, the kinesis machine was built on solid scientific principles. Yes, you might say that. Professor Hairbrain certainly has a mind like no other. He provided me with the blueprints and I constructed the machine to his precise specifications. It was no trick. It's clear that you have both scientific knowledge and knowledge of conjuring magic. However, the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes along. But your implication is that I furnished the machine with some trickery, I think. It's a possibility that we have to explore. Unfortunately, though, the machine had been blown to Kingdom Come. So there's nothing left to explore, is there? It appeared that the kinesis machine was fitted with a timed explosive device of some kind. And there's nothing left of that device either, not a single shred of evidence remaining, I hear. I must have planned all this from the outset. We do have the cage, though. Oh, it also had the hole here. I just realized. But in any case, it's abundantly clear that the experiment couldn't have been a trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? Of course, that's it! Mr. Osmond was a twin!
Objection.
Perhaps my learned friend wasn't listening earlier. Mr. Osmond had no twin siblings. No, I heard you before, but thread of hope hadn't quite left me. The demonstration could have been a trick if there was somebody who looked sufficiently like the victim. But Dr. Scythe absolutely ruled that out as a possibility. It is beyond question that the victim himself, Mr. Osmond, did move from the stage to the Crystal Tower. Fingerprints found at scene attest that fact. So it can't have been orchestrated using someone who looked identical to Mr. Osmond, then. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, no, nothing. Just the idea of someone who looked identical to the victim is playing on my mind. All the spectators saw the bird cage appear above their heads and then crash headfirst into the Crystal Tower. It crashed headfirst, you say? According to the many witness reports from those there at the time, yes. Were you not there at the exhibition grounds that day? Unlikely. I rarely leave my workshop. Yet another one of your unique inventions was found at the scene. Well, it was the unveiling of a machine I labored over for many months. I saw it clearly with my own eyes, the birdcage plummeting headfirst into the tower. What a surprise. I believe the victim's neck was broken from the headlong fall, wasn't it? How'd you have come by that information? Even an infernal recluse like me reads the newspapers, you know. According to the reports, 2 injuries were apparent on the victim's body. Yes, he'd been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver believed to belong to the defendant, and he had a broken vertebrae as a result of a fall from a considerable height. Correct, my learned friend has been doing his research, it seems. Do we know which injury was the fatal one? Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at the level where such things can be determined. What we do know is that the victim died having sustained both injuries at some point during the experiment, and that he was found in the birdcage with his neck broken. It's obvious that he fell from a considerable height. I suppose that's hard to deny. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow. Welcome on in, Antonym. Thanks for the cardboard pipe. So you understood the science, did you? Not in the slightest. Oh, right. As I've said a number of times, I'm an engineer. My job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I would be inviting manifold problems if I foolishly allowed my brain to digest the ideas behind them. I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example. But how is it possible to construct a machine without really understanding the principles it relies on? Well, you're practicing law without really understanding the principles it relies on, aren't you? Very good point. Stand up for yourself, Mr. Nodhodl. The point is, the experiment resulted in instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes, and really, experimental results are all that matters when it comes to proving a hypothesis. He's certainly very sure of himself. What do you think, Mr. Nodhodl? Well, now that the machine has been completely destroyed by yesterday's explosion, it's going to be impossible to argue its authenticity one way or the other. But if we're unable to establish that it was a piece of stage trickery rather than genuine science, we'll have no grounds on which to demonstrate Professor Harebrain's innocence. Both Mr. Admin and this man insane tricked the professor and used him. They took advantage of his naivety and unbending belief in his work, and I won't let them get away with it. Seeing as the professor's an old friend of Lord Van Zeek's, what on earth must he be feeling towards Trevor? I mean, the one contradiction I can think of... Well, we can't prove that it was a waxwork. Wait a minute. That's not head first. Hold on. Objection! There we go. We've examined the birdcage that crashed into the crystal tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is a wooden construction, had sustained damage in one particular spot. Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet into the glass of the crystal tower. That level of damage is to be expected, surely. I agree, the damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakages in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top. What are you saying? That's the opposite of where they should be. That's right, my lord. The birdcage that's at the scene is damaged at its base. So we have reports of the birdcage falling headlong into the crystal tower, yet the damage is at the bottom. These are two separate bird cages. The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there were two bird cages in play that day, which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery! Why was only part of his text orange? Good gracious, explain yourself, witness. Well, if we examine facts, there's only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that it crashed tail first into the tower. But multiple witness reports claim it fell head first. The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon flying over the stage following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level, which is approximately 18 meters. It then proceeded to fall some 30 feet into the crystal tower in ensuing deflagration. Witness reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable. But the victim's neck was broken. He plummeted 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However he fell, it would be unsurprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed. A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution there. Though to be even more rigorous, you would have to say it was only one vertebra. Actually, he wasn't quiet for long. I find it hard to see what's motivating Lord Van Zeeks. This witness is clearly a swindler and one who deceived a personal friend of his. You're going to establish the deception, do it right. Sorry? I feel like that's the undertone here. Ah, yes, and there's one more point. The defense appears to have forgotten. It obviously wasn't a trick, as a certain truth very plainly demonstrates. What? It seemed to me that the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Draper, you will amend your testimony with details of this truth. Of course, we must treat the matter scientifically, after all. Ugh, I nearly had him there. What is blood doing? The kinesis clearly took place because there's nowhere else 30 feet high for the birdcage to have fallen from.
Hold it!
Well, hot air balloon moment. What do you mean? Well, before the demonstration began, the victim was alive on stage in front of the audience. Yes, there are lots of witnesses who saw Mr. Asman on the experimentation stage, that's true. And the victim's neck broke as a result of an impact following a fall. Logically, therefore, the victim must have fallen from somewhere. The balloon that exploded was at an altitude of 60 feet. The point of impact on the tower was 30 feet up. That difference of 30 feet is therefore the total distance that the birdcage fell. And there is no other location from which the cage could have fallen that distance if it didn't drop out of the sky. Ergo, the victim himself must have been beamed from the stage into the sky above the crystal tower. A trenchant scientific analysis. Dear me, every time I hear it explained, it sounds increasingly plausible. Oh yes, it's all very well thought out. Certainly all the spectators on the day saw it. The birdcage plummeting 30 feet through the air, I mean. Irritatingly, yes. I mean, we probably just hit him with the hot air balloon again, right?
Objection!
No? Or maybe we have to do the math.
Objection!
There we go, it was the map. This is a diagram of the experimentation stage and its surroundings. We know that somehow the birdcage appeared in midair before falling down to the crystal tower. A fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you'll see that there's one other possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. The same distance of 30 feet? No. Well, it appears the defense has possible explanation to put forward. Go ahead, counsel. Yes, my lord. Of course. It will indicate the place which you are referring to in the same diagram. Oh boy. The alternative location from which the birdcage could have possibly fallen in the requisite 30 feet. Take that! If it had fallen from here. Oh wait.
Objection!
Darn it, I should have chosen the top. I should have chosen the topmost part, I'm pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure it's referring to the thing itself, right?
Take that!
Okay, there we go. The place I'm referring to is here. But that's where the birdcage would have been to begin with. Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the machine on the stage. But what we must also consider is the height of the stage itself. Go on, Council. Turns out that the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you'll see it's about the same height as above the ground as the balloon was above the crash site. It's clever smokescreen, I'll give him that. I know, making a freaking explosion just to hide the fall of that is one heck of a commitment. When the experiment got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. At that moment, the floor of the stage gave way, and if we were to assume there to be a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen almost exactly the same distance. Once again, my lord, this is all pointing to the fact that there's not one birdcage, but two.
Objection!
My learned friend, I know that that stage had such a contrivance in its sight. Is he being for real with us, chat? He was the one who provided this photo, and he doesn't see this big ass hole in the floor. Someone is responsible for the criminal destruction of the kinesis machine itself, it's true. However, the stage still stands. And take a moment to look at the photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion. He's hoping the audience won't notice. Unfortunately for him, Naruto will bring it to light. And yeah, that is realistically what it is. Von Zieks isn't that dumb. But damn, he could try harder to, you know, he could try harder other than saying, oh, it doesn't exist, you have no evidence, when he gave us the evidence. Good lord, the metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone. Yes, most likely blown open by the force of the explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense called for the space below stage to be investigated immediately. Mr. Drebber, it was you who built the kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built the two bird cages that were used to carry out this deception. Whether Professor Harebrain's hypothesis is sound or not makes no difference, because it's the construction of this machine that matters. A machine designed to take Mr. Osmond's life and lay the blame firmly at the professor's door, something that could only have been carried out by you, Mr. Enoch Drebber! Ah!
Objection!
If my learned friend has reached the end of his wild assertion, the prosecution would like to crush the defense's argument slowly, but surely. What? The argument failed to hold water on 2 counts. 2? Firstly, before and after the experiment, this witness went nowhere near the kinesis machine. Every relevant member of staff from the exhibition has attested to that. Cosmo's form is as immaculate as ever, to say the least. Using that sword with absolute grace. And I believe members of Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty at every public experiment. In other words, Mr. Drebber had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of bird cages.
Objection!
But I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow, that doesn't bolster your case at all. The man who disappeared from stage and the man who crashed in tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point. Ugh. The second flaw in your assertion is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man have wanted to take the victim's life? He had no reason to do so. A motive? I have to think of everything myself. I have here a contract provided by the witness. What contract is this, Lord Von Zieks? The contract in which Mr. Drebber entered with the victim, Mr. Asman. It reads, Mr. Drebber to receive 30% of all remuneration from government grant or other income. 30%? Certainly very favorable contractual conditions. But there's one very important provision bolted onto that clause. What provision? Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract would become null and void. So you see, I had nothing gained from Mr. Osmond's death, the diametric opposite in fact. Ugh. Need I say more? The witness had neither opportunity nor reason to commit the alleged crime. In short, the possibility of Mr. Drebber having done as you suggest is nil. Ah! It seems the defense's assertion was somewhat wide of the mark. Lord Van Zeeks, you will submit the contract as evidence, please. Drebber's contract, a contract between Mr. Asman and Drebber detailing terms by which they would profit from the kinesis experiment. In terms of investment, the investor, Mr. Odie Osman, hereby enters into contract with the provider, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to fund labor and materials for the construction of super high voltage team. Mr. Drebber to receive 30% of all remuneration from government grants or other income. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. It's true. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it. And in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been. There's one aspect to your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. I'm sure you're on the right lines, Mr. Naruhodo, and I've no doubts there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too. Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer. Ka-ha-ha. Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here satisfied about the machine I built, and instead my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I'm the culprit. At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there's only 1 bird cage. Yet now we know there must have been 2. In other words, there was more to the demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Drebber. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the event that transpired. So if circumstances mean it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved. Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. Mr. Drebber had an accomplice. Objection! An accomplice now? Well, then I presume you're prepared for what's to come. Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander. Well, counsel. Oh no. Do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter? What do I do here? Oh god. At the moment, this is little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Drebber had an accomplice or if he really even is the culprit. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear as a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Drebber have an accomplice or not? Ugh. Do we have someone who could be an accomplice? Ah, yes, it is Albert Hairbrain. I just... What if it was Scythe? What if she's doing... She could be lying because she's the one who would have checked. Oh no. I think that's it. The defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. The math 2 bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue. Counsel. My lord? You have received a stark warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, I must ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer, please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Drebber's accomplice? Take this. Courtney Sides! The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. I'm sure answered him. I mean, how else could we explain? Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure it will be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Alright then. Here it goes. Kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, counsel. Now. Person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe! What the blazes are you talking about, Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim? We know there were 2 bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. It's essentially that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. Waluigi isn't even saying anything. Half the jurors don't even care. You've got a nerve, lad. Standing up there, dragging Scotland Yard's name through the mud. I didn't mean to. I know the woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem? Oh my word. Who do you claim acted as victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly if the birdcage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, that cage must have also contained a body. And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there's no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Osmond. That's true. If my argument is that there are 2 bird cages, then there must have been 1 person inside each. But we don't have to rely on the testimony of, sides saying they had to be one and same. But I don't know if I've got an answer to this yet, have I? What can I do to reveal how this Hmm. Oh gosh, what do I do? I don't think I can name someone, but can I at least give a hint? I think it had to have. I think we finally get to see the thing that I've been saying since frame 1 of this case. It is a waxwork double. Very well, the defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Osmond's body double. Good gracious, evidence. I do hope this isn't filibustering counsel. The court is expecting a name. If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now. The body double and birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that's floating above the stage, which means that any witness would have only seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of that explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Oh my god. So it was a waxwork double. It wasn't a double that went into the cage, but it was a waxwork double that was in the balloon. And then the coroner switched them. Oh my god. All comes back to the museum. I knew the waxwork. I knew ever since frame 1, the freaking there's a waxwork body double. Ever since we got to the whole thing of, you know, there being 2 different locations and how it was all fake. So finally. Aha! The body double inside the second bird cage was a waxwork body double. We know that the victim, Mr. Osmond, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the crystal tower. Yes, counsel, according to what your somewhat elaborate version of events. And that body double inside second birdcage was, in fact... Alright, Mr. Naruto, you're ready for this. Just steel yourself like a samurai and come out with it! Thank you, Miss Sato. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside second birdcage... Oh, wait! No! Straight up! It just fully clicked into place! The body double! The thing was stolen from the waxwork place, the waxwork museum, to act as a body double. Just straight up. But why did he keep the head is another question. But, oh my god. Was, as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there! Why the hell is it here? It all comes back to the museum.
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend. Now tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicating the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime. Now you've moved on to indicating waxworks. Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? Looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? You want to know why? As Mr. Draper. What? Just days before Professor Hairbrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Trustspell's. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then, the timing. Is this true, Mr. Drebber? At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Trevor would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back again. But now the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Asman.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this fast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. And that he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide? Oh no. Wait! Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. My lord! I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty.
Oh, God.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty!
Kill me.
So, as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen. Now get through this, Mr. Naruto, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way, I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal the jurors as usual and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. Defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you now to state clearly for all present to hear the grounds on which you each have decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime which he is charged. Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions. I've known that woman for years. She never been accomplished to anything. It's utter nonsense to think that those two would ever be conniving with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork on the man's stole is nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I have my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Accusing someone without right evidences is not proper job, is he? I won't have it. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model to the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim. Is she old enough to serve jury duty? It's probably the less of the insane things, like, you know, how the jurors typically have a very convenient person as a part of them. As evident with the gas lady in the second case of this game, or many of the jurors from the first game. So I think it's probably not like that big of a deal for them for some reason. I don't know if she's old enough in terms of like if she should be here, but evidently I wouldn't put it past the courts to allow it. I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Asman's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know, it seems extraordinary. But that's the point. That's why I have strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? Can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model. Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. Had to find a way out of this. If you are ready, counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. Oh boy. Judicial findings, the defense's rebuttal. I've known that woman for years. She's never been accomplice to anything. It's interesting how he's talking first. Okay, wait. The game actually points this out. The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. Nice fourth wall break. Kind of, I guess. I'm a copper, lad. It's copper discretion to bend the rules sometimes when needs must. What's wrong with that? Where do I start? I've been working at the op for 40 odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had a metropolitan police service in town for 70 years, and you know, of course, times have changed. Public didn't trust the pulpit back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. And when we did, forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now, and she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? That's right, about 10 years ago now it was, when I was still a youngish Bobby on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team, and a woman no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we all dreamt of back then, I tell you. Can you tell me without holding that gun in the air? We are all out to uphold justice, lad. Full of vim, we were full of vim. That's coming across loud and clear. Totally nonsense things though two would ever be conniving with one another. But we're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in today's flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining bodies. There was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh. That woman is at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. What if that ends up being fake too, and they got the wrong guy? The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I thought it's up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around. Oh dear, this is most troubling, but surely the waxwork the man stole is nothing to do with the coroner, is it? Why would you assume that? Well, it's quite simply because that unsettling swindler had no relationship with the woman, does he? True, as it seems, we don't know any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were to somehow have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day.
Man,
even
what
if
a
you
bunch
don't
of
want to.
jokers.
Truly, Antonym, truly. The jurors really could have better reasoning sometimes, although this one's a bit more grounded than previous ones. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just there. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. That's the woman's stance. Then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of connection, she'll be the first to know. Oh boy. Have had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them much. What sort of problems? Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences. So we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Okay, we'll revisit you. Sometimes they even cook up a story to extort money from the poor. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and it is why I say that if you trust the police, you will have trouble. But here you are claiming this waxwork model was stolen to start an illusionary spectacle. The idea is so loud, I think I'll take my chances and believe the authorities on this occasion. This is how public at large views Scotland Yard, is it? Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? Perhaps we should view what's happened here in London as a measure of what may happen at home. Yeah, it's like a Scotland Yardstick. I wonder how a policeman would feel listening to the way the juror speaks about the force. I'm sure you'd have a word or two to say in response. Oh gosh. Obviously.
Hold it! Not in my day.
Excuse me. Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? Who are you calling a mass murderer? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I don't look anything like the man you want to be locked up, Sonny. Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly, you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our finger to the bone, turned the public trust be dead. And by Jove, we hunted. People respected us back then. Respected you? Huh. No one would have caught a coroner to question in them days. Coroner's report was all mark of investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney's even putting her name to it. Deal with the best of the best. And that hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Sorry, got a bit carried away there. Stevens' doctor side's maiden name. Her maiden name. So that's before she was married. Oh no, chat. Courtney Stevens. Chat. The professor was never killed. Oh no. Oh no. And yet, I don't think the professor is Drebs. Because he said he wanted to open this up and see the face of who was inside. Unless he's looking to confirm, but I don't know. Or he could have just been lying. But then why would he keep it? I guess to hide it? Oh, of course, yes, silly me aside now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyways, pointed, those were the great days of policing. I like now. I interrupt, sir, but do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes, I don't see why not.
Hold it!
She's legendary, was she? What did you say? That woman is still the best coroner in the land. Head of the forensic investigation team. Legendary was your description, sir, not mine. Rubbish. That would never pass my lips. I never describe anyone that way ever. Not if they were still in the game. I think the point you're trying to make is that Dr. Scythe is an extremely talented coroner. Would that be fair? It would. If it weren't for the fact that you're trying to drag that legendary woman's reputation through the mud. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that legendary. I've seen no rigorous proof that this waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. But you claim the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appeared from amidst an explosion, there'd have been no need to use a real person. But if a waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not exactly sure how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the bird cage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's not science. I suppose you should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if he managed to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside that bird cage. I guess theoretically this could be the waxwork, but there's no way to prove it. Probably not. Oh my gosh. I can state quite categorically, sir, that we have no such evidence at present time. That much was abundantly clear before that brassy proclamation, I assure you. And why you can count on the fact that I shan't be changing my feelings. Oh dear, that proclamation was ever brazier than yours, Mr. Nudhodle. Only we had some evidence things might be different, though. Give someone without right evidence, he's not proper job, is he? I won't have it.
Hold it!
I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn into court with you? Oh no, Cobb. He's been grown back on farm, picked him off on me way in town. He's a proper nibbler, he is. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial? I don't like sound of that. You need cornrows at times like these. Whenever I've some at big to decide, the colonels always point me in the right direction, see? You're talking about your cob of corn? Nibble nom guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Nibble nobble guilty bobble, nibble not guilty out. Perhaps it's akin to fortune telling with the flower petals like people do back home. Professor Hairbrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. Could you at least wait until we've had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt? Oh, I don't know about that. Tom's awfully full already. Amazing. But, It seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model of the professor was in that birdcage. But on the other hand, it explains a lot. There really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Osmond's body double. We must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it. The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but it's the most puzzling part of it, too. In that case, you should see what additional information you can glean while trying to change the juror's mind. You can read a book while eating a rice cracker. Hold on, I'm sure you can do this. Right, yes. What's the connection? Do we have evidence? I don't... Evidence that could prove the waxwork was in the birdcage. I don't think so. There's that weird hole still. But it could have just been caused because of the thing falling. Wait a minute, the piece of broken glass! Of course!
Hold it!
We have the piece of broken glass, chat! I have evidence! Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh? I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. Though given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. You don't trust anyone in black? Looking in the mirror must be very trying. I do have some evidence that proves that the waxwork was inside that birdcage, namely, piece of broken glass. Yeah, Antonym, we pop off. What's that? A piece of glass, though it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket on the waxwork. And as you say, it's not ordinary glass, though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength, much like the special glass that was developed for construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower? Holy smoke! Exactly! The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition where the very incident we're talking about took place! On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed in front of you. Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. Heck yeah! That case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please. The presence of that piece of glass leaves me in little doubt that waxwork was indeed inside that bird cage. Which, of course, works with you! Those two statements are fundamentally at odds with each other. Well, Mr. Foreman... there's to be a new Sherlock Holmes adventure published next month by the looks. Wait, did I choose the wrong one? Gosh darn it. Okay, I think I accidentally selected... No, I did select 2 and 4. Is that so? I shall have to reserve myself a copy at local news agent. So I don't know, listening to what I'm saying. Oh, God. You're not my learned friend. I heard every sorry word. Alright, whatever. Not a big deal. Wasn't it? Oh, wait, that's right. It's not whether it has any relevance. I'm dumb. Okay. Yeah, that's just on me. It wasn't... Okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. I misremembered. Courtney Stevens.
Hold it!
Thank you for reconsidering your position, sir. Your words are misplaced, boy. My opinion is governed by logic and science and nothing else. Yes, science is where you should direct your words of gratitude. What's the matter with you? Too good. Say some words of thanks to the mother of all academic subjects. What is it about scientists, honestly? Do I pit these two against each other? That might work.
Objection!
There we go. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? If you could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5. You mean me? You've pointed out that it's wrong to take an accusation without evidence, but the accusation that Waxwork Mall was inside second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror, to the juror sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here, please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a man of science to not to pursue the matter further. Yeah, progress, even if it's only one. So, well, me too then. Sorry? If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who got stuff in between the ears. Bing. 2 more, chat. Success, if you can call it that. Of course, if he's got some evidence, that's all other Colonel Cobb in it. Lovely job. Possibility has been established reasonably and logically. Now want further search. Alright. So how do I prove that Courtney's side? Can I prove that Courtney Stevens
Hold it!
did? I did not mean to do that, but that's fine. The fact that he amended his statement feels very important. There's a little metal plaque here. Look, fostering burgeoning tale for a future of scientific discovery. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But clearly Mr. Drebber really was a very talented scientist. Damn, it doesn't say anything there. Gosh. How do those two relate? That's the question. Oh wait, of course, because the waxwork is of the professor, and she did the professor's autopsy.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? So, juror number 2. Oh gosh. Me? What can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Side made a name is Stevens. And through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. This event has evidence to prove it. My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling. Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim. Of course, my lord, I'd ask the court to look at this. Evidence that clearly links Dr. Side to the mass murderer known as the Professor. Take that! I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. The Professor's? But the man was a capital offender, so... That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my, Courtney Stevens. Strike a light! It appears that the Professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the Professor from Madame Tuspel's. Waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all. And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events? Absolutely, I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the Professor case is at the heart of a link we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Enoch Drebber. Then links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obligated and obliged now to explore this further. We're so close. Quite right, we can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best corner. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end. Hell yeah. Thank you, counsel. That will do. As a result of summation examination, jurors' overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus this time, and the trial must continue. We did it! Oh, well done, Mr. Natoro. Another wonderful victory. A waxwork of the despicable Professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe that assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. It's the waxwork of the Professor that links Mr. Drebber and Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't. The truth is by using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Madame Tuspels. I really thought that Lord Van Zeeks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tuspels to appear as a witness with immediate effect. Listen carefully, my learned friend. Oh, yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now be adjourned for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Madame Tuspels, yes. I shall see to it once, my lord. Oh my gosh. That's the to be continued thought. Oh my gosh, Chad, I'm gonna be honest, I'm so torn. I'm so torn right now. It might be worth just trying to get this finished. But at the same time, oh gosh, who knows how much longer this next part could take. But I really want to see what happened. Gosh, I'm in much pain. Okay, so let's sort our thoughts. Flip a coin. I don't know if I should leave my decision quite up to that, but honestly, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have a command here, right? Don't I? Yeah, we do. That was just a test run, but yeah, we do have that at least. Um, let's get our thoughts in order. So, Courtney's side has not necessarily been a good corner for as long as it's been implied. She has been. Seems there's a lot of stuff going on with her. Oh my goodness. That is pretty shady. I mean, on the one hand, dealing with bodies as your main line of work isn't exactly the most pretty thing, to say the least. Um, but also, oh my gosh. I was trying to decide. I think, hmm, I might have to call it here just because whatever this next part is, I'm sure is going to be super freaking long. Uh, her kid. Yeah, her kid's chill. Other than the fact that she likes to dissect everything. Honestly, chat. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to call it here. My voice is also getting pretty strained because a lot of the voices I've been doing are a lot. So, as much as I want to continue, I think it's probably for the best we call it here. So, thank you all so much for watching. My gosh. Technically a little early for stream to end, but we're around the 4-hour mark, and I think it's a good place to call it here. So we can go through the finale of this case, I'm sure, next week with all of the time that we need. Which, of course, I will. Oops, thank you for the hydrate. I've been hydrating a lot off, like, without needing this, but it's always good to hydrate more. And thank you for the stretch as well. Antonym, I've done both. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this game, and I am enthralled by this, but unfortunately, yeah, I think it's just I gotta call it here. So I will be live again with this game 1 week from now, as I am streaming it every single Friday until completion. I, of course, will be live this upcoming Friday with a new stream series that is less story heavy compared to this, as is my normal Friday game are. And of course, this Saturday I do a variety of stuff Saturdays, but we're gonna be trying a content creator exclusive demo for a game, so that should be a fun old time. I don't have any other big announcements or anything, so I think we are just gonna see who we're gonna react to. I think I might have an idea, potentially. Gosh, I'm enthralled by this case though. It's there's so many layers. But it all just feels like the more that I learn, it's a snowball effect, right? The deeper we look, the more evidence just seems to pile up in a very, very terrifying direction. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna rate out to this person, I suppose. Because, oh wait, no, they are on break right now. Never mind. Well, I mean, we could. It'd be a fun thing to jump scare them with. You know what? Let's do it. Because I don't have anyone else to rate out to, and I think it would be funny. So real interesting at the end of the episode. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. You all should too. You all better be looking forward to it, because I freaking am. Of course, we have the raid target this time, which is going to be the one and only Kyoko Katao, who is currently playing Overwatch while he's on break, but he's very, very chill. He's a Fox VTuber, and he just has a nice, fun time. And I think it'd be a great place to go lurking if you enjoy Overwatch, and even if you don't, it's still gonna be a nice time. At least we can all lose our sandy together. We have the lovely, lovely raid messages, both for subs and non-subs. Have a good day, night, morning, evening, dark hour, whenever it may be for you all, and I will see you all again this Friday for a new game series. A very awesome one, probably. I hope it is. Bye-bye!